Computer. All right, guys, I want to thank you and welcome. I know I'm a couple minutes early. That just means everybody else is late. Why do we say that? It's always nice to be early and show that kind of respect. And anyway, I want to thank you guys for joining us. Did you like that picture of me riding a banker? I don't know if you guys saw it. It's kind of funny, but it's the YouTube cover. So if you don't see it right now, you'll see it later. I just look, guys, we are growing in a lot of different capacities, but for sure we're growing in from a standpoint of membership and size. And I want to thank you guys for all your support and all that you do and contribute and come along our side. And I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. We are a ministry. We don't have our hand out. Literally have people every day saying, "Aren't you free? Aren't you free?" Where did this mentality come from, guys? That people in the Patriot community should be doing everything for free. I don't know who put that out or why that is relevant. I do understand people think because we are a ministry that we are free, but we are His Advocates SSM. SSM stands for Self-Supported Ministry. We are not passing a plate. We are not getting donations from a populace. We serve people and they pay us for the work that we do. And we have a ministerial heart, but we work from a business mindset because you have to. You don't have a choice. So you got to really think how to help the masses, how to support them. And those are all the things that we're working on right now on a much bigger scale. And sometimes we get questions from people that, throw me for I don't want to say throw me for a loop, but it's not always easy to answer every single person's question succinctly so that they get it. There is too many thanks, John. I appreciate it. John saying I'm broke as blank and your prices are still reasonable. That's some funny stuff, John. No, I appreciate it. Very few people you know, realize that. Hey, how do you like the new time? Tuesday at 5 versus Monday at 4. I feel like we're going to be able to pick up some more people at this time, people getting off work, whatever, instead of knocking it out, trying to figure out how to get here. At least we're open for business on the West Coast and getting more people on the East Coast. I know, John, it's kind of late for you. I mean, we're probably past your bedtime right now, or Jack, excuse me. Um, it's probably past your bedtime, but I get it. I want to be the last person you think about, Jack, before you go to bed. Anyway, Jack has a new dog. Congratulations, Jack. This dog's running him crazy here, and I love seeing it because I love seeing a smile on a buddy's face, and he shows up all the time on our Tuesday and Thursday VIP motivational, inspirational stuff that we do. And the reason I'm going to go back to the subject matter we were at, the reason why we're doing an inspirational meetup group for the VIP members is, and I was explaining, and I mix it up all the time, but I was explaining to him today about the Republic, and I'm going to be putting that video out. That's not going to just be for VIP members. I'm going to put it out because I want to give my sentiments on a private discussion about the Republican and the matter at hand, which is really about the Republican, everybody in it, and everybody in the Anna Von Rights Party, and everybody, they're all a bunch of complaining U.S. citizens. And that's really where they're at. And when that resonated in my heart, because I first heard about that from Richard McDonald. Richard McDonald is the OG of state citizenship. He didn't have any remedies, but man, he laid the groundwork. He brought the cases that ultimately was able to bring the succinct book outlining what are still active in law today. And we didn't even touch on all of them. We just touched on a few. And this book you can get for free on hisadvocates.org. Again, hisadvocates.org. Go get it for free, download it, PDF, and have your friends go to hisadvocates.org right now and join. Send that text out that we just sent to you guys. It has the free book link on it. Just send that to your friends. Go grab this book. Please do me that one favor. Go grab this book. That book will explain who you are in your thoughts, meaning why you're able to do what you are able to do legally. It takes the pretense that we're crazy off the table by far. And I think that book's going to get us into a lot of people out there, bloggers, Instagrammers, whatever, all the different social media accounts that are out there. We're going to be able to um, start showing the people why we think the way that we think. Started in a journey with me 20 years ago. I was losing everything. 2006, 7, and 8. Remember those days? It was a bad, bad year for me in those times, and I lost my house, lost my business, lost 100 plus employees. It was hard, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. By the way, I got to meet a lot of people, got to have good relations, started going to some seminars, started hearing some weird things that really sounded kind of skittishy and no way. And when the money went dry in lending, had nothing to do. I started going down this rabbit hole of trying to figure out why it is this guy thought the way that he thought on the seminar that I went to, and what it actually means for me and how I can actually turn that to my benefit. And I spent 6 months in the rabbit hole, and then I spent the last 16 years as his advocates, getting something ready for the masses. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this with certainty, and I'm going to say this with a pure heart, literally, no motive. I really need you guys to understand what I'm about to say. The live born record is your child's title. It's the equivalent of your child's title. You, as a mother or father, have a right to title for your child. That's given to the state and turned over by the mom. Nether call, but it is. I'll really break that down on another. I've broken it down before, but I'll break it down on another call. The mom is handing the perfected title of the child, not perfected, kind of imperfected in that the father is not on it, meaning the father doesn't sign it, over to the state as the informant, as the parent. She's agreeing to being the guardian, turning the product over to the state, and agreeing to the validity of the instrument. All of that on a document, turning it over to create what is known as an abandonment certificate, a birth certificate. That birth certificate is the U.S. citizen. The element of you getting a job, getting a social security number, getting a job called driver, getting a job called U.S. citizen, getting a job called taxpayer, all these, getting a job called voter, those are jobs for the United States government. And you're serving in a capacity holding these offices. And every one of those contracts that you sign are all adhesion trust documents. They're never countersigned. When you did and you applied for your your Social Security form or card when you were a kid, now it's automatically assigned at the birth. But when you're a kid and you applied for your Social Security, number one, you weren't of age. You didn't know what you were doing. But you were applying, the grantor of the trust was Social Security Administration. The beneficial interest of the trust is all over the back. It's Social Security Administration. The trustee, the liability, is you. You're the applicant. You're agreeing to the terms of this trust indenture, and that's the way it goes. So now you are liable in a trust. So the games that these corporations are playing, number one, they're not real countries. They're corporations with the same name as a real country. People say, that's impossible, Kelly. It's not only possible, it's in the law right here. It's not only possible, they have different jurisdictions. The United States has a different jurisdiction than the United States of America. And so they took the child. They're now doing the same thing for the last 50 years with cars and with homes. And this is why this ministry, and currently this ministry only, the only one in the world that is shouting from the mountaintop with expert experience as a real estate broker, knowing loans, knowing real estate transactions, as an expert in title, an expert on deeds. And I'm not saying that because, ooh, I'm a guru. That's not where I'm coming from. I want you to know we're not full of it when we say what we say about your home. I want you to know we're not full of it when we say what we say about your car. They take the titles of the things that have value, that belong to us. They're our sweat equity. They're our life form, our blood. And they turn us into guardians legally. They turn us into caretakers, providers at best. And they call it right on the title for the home, joint tenant. Right on the title for the mom, parent, judicially decreed guardian. Okay, you understand where I'm going with this? And you get a certificate of title of the automobile that they own because they hold the manufactured statement of origin. I just gave you 3 facts in law that changed last century for every single citizen of the United States of America and every single United States citizen. Fact 1, they started recording children into the public and monetizing them as the new owner, where the mom was the vested guardian. Period. They took the manufacturer's statement of origin of your automobile that should have been given to you by the automobile manufacturer. They deposited it into the Secretary of State, produced a certificate of title, which is not actual title to you from the state, as if the state was granting you some benefit. You bought it from Honda. Why is the state issuing you title? See the sleight of hands? So that's number 2. Car, child, now home. They took original deeds from the 1800s that vested property purchasing, actual land purchasing, and they started recording it in a name that they own, the birth certificate they own, so they own the name. So if you're recording in your name, they own that name. You're thinking, nah, it's still in my name. No, it's not. Number 1. Number 2, you're a tenant. Number 3, you're vesting what? Joint tenant. That's your vesting. That's how you're holding title. You're a tenant. Number 4, you're using Federal Reserve notes. They are a party to the transaction. Number 5, you're doing a legal description. That is air. That's above land. And number 6, you're not even signing the deed. You're not accepting the deed. Do you get it? Do you understand? These are the white flipping elephants in the room that people are not addressing for their own asset protection purposes. Change your status. Be what a true American is. One of our founders, they were true Americans. Have you ever signed the Declaration of Independence? Do you attest to being under God with your allegiance to the people and not to a corporation? Those are valid questions. Or are you the surety, the collateral, the debtor, and getting ready to be picked up as such because the United States is in a default? And I don't care what blonde god is in an action of presidency or what you think he's doing for you. He's not doing jack. All the white elephants from pharma to chem spray, and I can go on and on, like the titles of the things to which we think we own have been stolen from us by the banks using color of title, legal things, and we're failing ourselves for a lack of knowledge. And I detest what this nation represents. I do. I love my nation, the United States of America. I detest the United States corporation. I detest the leadership. I detest the fact that the 750,000 people that disappear every year. I detest they're building dams and they're making people leave the earth whether for sexual purposes, for blood purposes, for demonic purposes, for slavery purposes, whatever. This country's missing 750,000 people a year. Whew. Talk about a white elephant not being addressed by the power structure. You're really in control of the military. Prove it. You're really in control of, prove it. Prove it. Do you really have the best interest of the people? No, you don't. I'm telling you, they don't. I see fog, listen to me, roll in to my community every day. I go to my car and measure the fog. I just got a home measuring kit for the outside air and the inside air, and I got a special filtration system for my house because I'm living in fear in what they are producing in the air. Like I'm looking at fog, what looks like fog. They call it radiation fog. Who knows what it is? Who knows? I'm looking at it coming in with the sun out at 75 degrees at 1 p.m. Doesn't make any sense. White elephant not being addressed by the administration. We're seeing the smoke and mirrors. Candace Owens against Erica Kirk. We're seeing the smoke and mirrors with that POS Bongino, whatever his name, Dan Bongino. I don't know his name. Talk about an alien reptile looking skin wearing piece of SHIT. I've never seen such a bigger POS than him. And all these people, all of these actors, all of these people are taking our mind off of really what's happening in the underlining effect right now. Energy is going up. Gas prices are going up. We all need to bunker down. We need to stay at home for this next energy lockdown. Really? People are trying. They're so hardcore trying to save the republic. And I'm watching people talk about the republic, and I'm watching all these people argue within the republic. Shame on you guys, all of you, from the leadership all the way down to the people arguing. Shame on all of them. We should be figuring things out, man. I do understand there's infiltrators. I do understand there's agents. Shame on those guys, for sure. For sure. Not everybody is a dissenter. Not everybody is a problem. So everybody needs to learn how to communicate. But you know what? I see this republic as being as big as of a problem in nature sometimes. But the republic is so important. It's so important that I'm watching people come in over and over and try to tear down the fabric of it, not understanding their position, their place of being under leadership. And I just did a video today that I'm putting out tonight on YouTube. So look for a follow-up to this one later on tonight. I'll do the email text marketing so you know when it's published. I think it's really important, guys, that we get our minds wrapped around how to correct the house. What does the word of God say? Your house has to be in order. I'm first and foremost, I am proud of a lot of you guys and ladies out there who listen to direction and are not taking the hits, financially speaking, and are enjoying and reaping the rewards of what's going to come down the road, no matter what, of gold, silver, crypto. Watch what's happening. That's the underlining thing nobody's talking about. There's a lot of background movement. There's a lot of positioning. Banks are freaking out right now because cash is leaving the system. And when people buy gold and silver, that's cash that's gone. Okay. When people are buying crypto, it's no longer in the banking system. It's gone. They have to get rid of it. Why? Because there's a big worldwide change and everybody is moving to cashless societies very soon in very short order. And there will be a simultaneously energy lockdown Energy prices are going to skyrocket. They're going to skyrocket property taxes. They're going to skyrocket everything they can. And everybody's going to be fighting and pissed off and losing stuff and becoming homeless and walking into FEMA camps with their heads down. You watch. This is all by design, all set up, and a white elephant not being addressed. Why are taxes so high that we can't, when they can just print money, when they can just, listen to me, print money? It's the illusion of control that your taxes are going to something. Your taxes are not going to do anything for this nation. Nothing. By the fact that they are printing money, it is an absolute fact that that is the way that they are creating these bonds. And that's how they're creating the dollars in the system that allow for them to do whatever they're going to do. See, they're just paying people digits to build. They're paying people digits to grow, maintain roads. They are not taking your tax dollars, any of them, to do these things. The debt of this nation is not recoverable. Listen, Trump can't save this nation. He can't just say, oh, we're wiping out all the banks. Good luck with that. You think the families are going to accept that? I don't think. I don't think so. I think we've got to deal with the white elephants in the room. And you know what the biggest white elephant is? You and your own household. Getting that in order first. Why? Because the Republic, and because the Anna von Reitz people, and because the David Straight people are all a bunch of complaining U.S. citizens. And because they put people in place to trick you to think these words like national are synonymous with freedom that you get through being a state citizen. Citizen does not equate to slavery when you put it on your own documents what the definition of citizen means. And if it does mean slavery, then why is it in the Bible? Think about that. You're to be a citizen of heaven first. Huh. Sounds to me that is identical to what a state citizen is when we make our allegiance to God and the community of people under God. Huh. I think, guys, we've got things really bass backwards. I said that right. To avoid being looked at like a bad guy. It's a sad state. None of the white elephants are being addressed. And nobody is talking except this organization. Remember this, 2026, we started a long time ago on your personal status, started a long time ago on deeds, changing the deed, started a long time ago on what true title is on your car. We started a long time ago. Watch. People are going to come out like left and right, pretending to know what to do in the next years to come. Be very careful, because people still today, for some reason, have never gotten in trouble themselves touting the things to which the United States creates, like national. 8 USC 1101-821. United States Code 8 USC 1101-821 comes from public law. Corporate Congress creating a word to deal with these people that are here on this land. What? Why? Because if we can create a word that makes them think that they owe allegiance to a state and define these terms to mean a district of the United States corporation, we've got them. We've got them. Let's create some affidavits. Let's get some leadership that walk them into all these assemblies. Let's get all these people to fill out all these documents, all these affidavits that use American national, state national in the affidavit, national being the focus, the fall, the noun that everybody's claiming to be. But let's use the state citizen case laws in support on the affidavit, but cling to 8 USC 1101-821, making you A person that owes allegiance to a federal territory. Oh, I did the same thing, man. I failed. I failed. I didn't understand the trickery. I didn't understand the white elephant that was in the room. Now I do. Now I get it. And it's a sad state that we're dealing with these things to this day. Um, it really is. Anyway, that is my rant. Thank you. You guys got some questions, post them in the Q&A. I'm going to try to get off by 6 p.m. tonight, so I'll get people on. I have a few pre-done questions, and because they were pre-done and emailed to me, they go first. First one is from Eli. I did a broadcast with Eli a couple days ago. Eli, thank you for having me on. They said it's too late for a mechanics lien. They said, okay, so Eli's trying to put a mechanics lien on his house, and it is too late, Eli. But I told you you weren't served on your foreclosure. You can get the foreclosure reversed, have them start it completely over, and or you can even record a deed acceptance on your thing, which will start the foreclosure process over, and then before they do a notice of fault or a notice of default, you're going to want to file the mechanics lien and get the mechanics lien for me, Eli. We have some stuff. We have some paperwork that'll help you. If somebody can send this to Eli, because I don't think he's on. Somebody send this to Eli just so he can get this. I'm going to forget to do it tonight. What next question over here? Terry. Final notice, letter templates I've received. You asked to email the concerns, documents. I understand the emails are going through, so here's third attempt. I read and have been working carefully with all 5 letters: Sheriff, Governor, Secretary of State, Commissioners, IRS, SSA. Attached is my concise. Okay, I didn't copy your attachments, Terry. Post them to me here on the Q&A, please. Sorry, Terry. I just copied the text, and it might be one of those things we need to do a much more extensive explanation on, which we're working on. Next question: do I need to send my employer a W-4 exempting me from taxes to prevent a 1099 at the end of the year, or I don't need to worry about it? So, Hawkeye, you want to become a state citizen. Most employers are requiring a new W-4, or if it were me, I would submit to them the foundation with the W-9. If you can't submit the foundation with the W-9, I would do a new W-4 exempt. Get the W-4 from us if the employer is asking you to do a new W-4. Okay. Next question. You've recommended to affix annex the original applications for any licensed pilots, boat captain, guns. I'm registered with Washington, California for certification licenses. As counselor and public ed teacher, do I need to affix annex letters for career certifications too? If so, if there is an LPP sample, yeah, we actually have one, Terry, for the end of your LPP. Just ask Alex for it. That you're wanting to do notice letters to annex the original application with a quick letter that wasn't actually within the application. Okay. Thank you. And then it's not absolute. You don't have to, but it's excellent for I dotting and T crossing. You certify mail letter of correction. It's a template. You can make it for anything you want, any certification you want. All you're doing is noticing them and asking them to put this letter with the original application that you submitted with them, and they by law have to. All right. Now that we are living in the private, it's kind of scary to let go of our 3 to 4 bank accounts and consolidate all of our income into one foundation bank account. You can do your own private foundations between family members to keep multiple bank accounts if that's what you want to do. Additional foundations are half the cost, so you can get another one for half the cost. Just know that. Also, we are a little nervous about letting go of our credit cards that have 0 balances because we keep these on hand for traveling and emergencies. Is there any downside to keeping personal credit cards in a bank account? I wouldn't keep a personal bank account. Try to use the credit cards minimal and send a final notice letter addressing the status of the application that you submitted with the credit card companies, so they can keep a record of that on the credit card account. Personally, I don't like using credit. There's different kinds of credit. There's Amex, that's not true monetization. There's credit cards, which are absolutely true monetization. There's lines of credit, there's absolutely true monetization. I'm just not wanting to enrich banks as much as possible. And I want to come out of a structural system that does the enrichment of the entirety of the system. So when you're making banks richer, um, when you're paying taxes into a structural system that by nature is printing money out of thin air, so by nature doesn't, and it by nature doesn't have a lawful pretense to charge taxes. Those are the things from a moral standpoint that I want to stay away from. The other consideration is where you may, at some point in life, probably you never, but when we created the Living in the Private program, the purpose was to get around indictments and warrants. So we read warrants and indictments and we reverse engineered what they used to gain access to getting a warrant over you. And we created the Living in the Private program around that. So the other element that would be scary is if they really wanted to bring you under their jurisdiction, they might grab a personal bank account showing that you agree that you were in fact a U.S. citizen on that account, or the same with a credit card account. So you may, if you're going to keep those accounts, make sure you use a letter for notice to address the application as it was originally submitted, so that you can prove you sent status and standing that you were a citizen of the United States of America and not the United States when you were applying for those accounts. And again, Terry, I don't have time to grab that email. Send me the attachment, please. Or send it right now via email. Open it up, send it, and tell me here to look. I'll open it up and address your question. You said that if we have land owned by our foundation that we can build anything that we want. Can we avoid Airbnb regulations as well if we build tiny homes on it and rent them out? So let me help you to understand. I didn't say that. What I said was a foundation couldn't be sued, number one. What I did say, though, is if you have fee simple absolute title, so using our deeds that we do, which are old school deeds, they're not present day deeds, where you're putting that land into a foundation with proper vesting and title, you absolutely can do anything you want on that land. Fee simple absolute means you have absolute tenure in title to the center of the earth, that being you, and you do not need to ask for permission from the county to build things out. Now, is that going to stop the county from maybe making a pretense that they have jurisdiction over you? Maybe not, but it might. Okay. And your position would be a heck of a lot better to have what we are giving you from a deed standpoint than it would be if you had a normal deed where you were renting the property as a joint tenant and you had a legal description instead of meets and bounds and. So the deed with the foundation is very, very powerful ownership of title. They really can't make a claim against something because what they have jurisdiction over is individuals and corporations. A foundation is neither. That's why it's powerful. Okay, next question. The warranty deed that is used for quit claim feeding a property into the foundation, is it similar or the same as absolute allodial title that Ron Gibson wrote in his book for getting the land patent? Or is it a land patent and general warranty deed template do the same thing to get absolute title to a property? Okay. So I'm going to do my best to describe this, Craig, and hopefully we'll be using this answer for everybody in the future, because there's a lot of misunderstanding on a land patent. I know people bring forward land patents that aren't theirs, and they get a color of law, sometimes benefit from a county or from a foreclosure. I get it. Ron Gibson and what he brought to the table, there was a lot of pretense to seeing color of law benefit from certain things, whether code enforcement violations, whether foreclosure issues or what have you. I have never seen a patent work on a foreclosure issue, period. Okay. They only foreclose on the note. They don't care about what your deed looks like. If there's a note that's attached to that property, that's what they're going to foreclose on. And they're going to go after the individual. They're not going to go after any named party. So no matter what you do, if there is a note attached, you need to deal with the note because patent will not stop a foreclosure. Lodial title, whatever the term you think a lodial title means, will not stop a foreclosure. Lodial title means there's no encumbrances on the property. So why do you think you can do a lodial title if you got a lien, an IRS lien, a mechanics lien, or a mortgage lien? Why do you think you can have a lodial title? You cannot. Now, can you put a property with our deed that has a mortgage on it into a true vested, true private entity, correct vesting, and fee simple absolute, guys, is the only vesting known that had not had, if you look at fee simple absolute in the past and through the 1900s all the way to 50s, 60s, 70s, those properties vested in that did not pay property tax. Okay. So you're thinking a lodial title is attached to patent law. They're separate. Patents are one way to have a perception of a lodial title. Patents, I do know, still at times pay property taxes because they submit it to the offer from the county for police, fire, and water, whatever it might be. And so they brought a contract over their land and their jurisdiction. So there's many things to consider. Is your property recorded or is it registered? Both. Every county has both offices in hand. One is a banker. The registrar is a banker. The recorder just puts titles into the public. You cannot bring forward a patented parcel of a larger patent. It's not possible. There's no county, especially when the techniques that Ron Gibson was using, and God bless that guy, man. He was a good man trying to help people, and he really did help a lot of people by color of law. How do you bring forward a patent when you're not the assign of the patent? You can't. How do you grab access to something that doesn't belong to you on a partial basis? You can't. So you have to go from the period of time in which the patent was taken over by the county and start there. What did the county do? They started recording old school deeds on the properties or on the land. And the county didn't charge taxes on properties that were held in fee simple absolute. And those were absolute tenure and title to the center of the earth. That's the exact definition of fee simple absolute. So you can have a type of ownership today with the proper deed wording, but you can't own it if you put it in your name or an LLC because they own that. So the deed has to be in something you create. It's got to be in a land trust or a foundation or something private unregistered. You can't own the property exclusively by yourself if you are using Federal Reserve notes on the deed. Has to be with gold. Okay. The second that we use the words that they are ownership of, because there are Supreme Court rulings that show that they are a party to every transaction with Federal Reserve notes. But the second we start using the words XYZ LLC, Kelby Smith, whatever on a deed, and we don't even accept the deed, we don't even show that we're holding land, we're holding air with a legal description. Those are all the things that must be considered. So the only thing that can be done right now, and I got Ron Gibson's book. I'm not going to poo-poo a dead man's work. I think he's brought a lot to the table. But I've met the senior level people in the dumbs at or in the basement at Norwalk for recorder's office, and his own words, I've never seen anybody execute or help themselves by recording a patent to any degree. It never stopped any foreclosure. Okay, I'm hearing that from the words on one of the largest counties in America, right out of the main guy's mouth. And I said, okay, but if I recorded old school deed today in fee simple absolute, that gives me absolute tenure and title, especially if I'm going to be doing meets and bounds on the deed. I said, can I record this deed? And he said, yes, you can. They will record this deed. And I'm like, why aren't they doing these deeds today? And he said, well, think about it. And I really started thinking about it. What I started doing was looking up what the terms legal description actually mean. Started looking up the case laws about a Federal Reserve notes being a party to a transaction. I started looking up deed acceptance and how important accepting the deed is. I started looking at a birth certificate and who really owns that. Look, that is not just a white elephant. That's one of the biggest white elephants in the world is that we think we are true owners of something that we're really not because it's in our name or corporation that we own. We do. We fail for lack of knowledge. Now, I just gave you the keys to the Ferrari, okay, of title ownership. You record a deed with one of his advocate's deeds. I don't even want to call it one of my deeds. One of the old school deeds that is still recordable today, getting your meets and bounds, putting it in a foundation, doing a deed acceptance, using gold. I'm telling you, that is the proper way to record title, period. Now you own land, and there's no component of that deed that they can control or manipulate or take from you, period. It's a beautiful thing. You can even do things like record it with a note that I do not want this registered. This is only for public purposes. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things that a lot of people are doing. Um, allodium, noun, freehold estate, land, uh, which is the absolute property of the owner. What's property? Real estate held in absolute independence. What's real estate? Without being subject to any rent, service, or acknowledgement to a superior. It is thus opposed to the feud. In England, there is no allodial land, all land being held of the king. But in the United States, most lands are allodial. Webster's 1828. So at the time that was written in Webster's in the 1800s, most lands were allodial without taxes associated to them. But at some point in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, people stopped because of the United States bankruptcy registering land a certain way. The title companies, the banks got smart. So this is why they play us. So we need to go back to the words that work. Fee simple absolute, foundation, deed acceptance, meets and bounds, using gold. That's the way you record title. And you do have an absolute tenure and title to the center of the earth. And you do have a cause of action to remove it from the county recorder's office entirely because you don't want to participate in what it is they are doing inside of the public. Remember, you don't have to record a deed in the county recorder. What are the ramifications if you don't record a deed in the county recorder and the guy that sells the property to the new owner does not record the deed on the transaction either? What are the ramifications to the new owner? Non-acceptance of a contract for property taxes. Period. It's very interesting. Can't wait till I see a mass exodus by people coming out and refusing. Watch what happens. Somebody's going to bring this to a Supreme Court. It's already been done, I'm sure, and it's hidden somewhere. But bottom line, my cousin and I are Native Americans. If we cancel our contracts with the government, how do we continue to get Medicare from our Indian clinics and receive our SS money? You can still receive it all. Doesn't preclude you from, and by the way, it's not technically you that's receiving it, and I don't want to get into that. I just kind of did a little bit ago. Next question. But you can still receive those benefits. A lot of people just put them in the foundation. Hey, Kelly, did you get the money order for the books I sent a while ago? Money order for the books. Kelly Case. I don't, in all honesty, I don't remember. Send me an email with the name and address, and I'll ship you some books. My apologies, Kelly. I get a lot of stuff. I don't remember that. Not saying you did or didn't. We're hugging. My sons don't have BCs. Good man, John. So will then they be able to hold a lodium in their own names? As a matter of fact, only a state citizen, John, can hold title. Truly, only a state citizen is allowed to own land. Because a U.S. citizen is a debtor, and the U.S. citizen debtor slash BC is proof that it's a BC that owns the land or color of title. So yeah, if I were you, John, I would just have foundations created for your children and let them own the land through the foundation and get them a passport as a state citizen. We do it for kids without BCs. I know, Terry, I need the question here. Sometimes I don't translate. I know you sent it to me and you had it as an attachment, Terry. Just take the attachment, open it up, copy it to an email. So I'm not trying to figure it all out, and ask the question that you're trying to get me to answer. And I'll do it right now. You've asked on your ticket for a new W-4. I've loaded the sample template under the form. Alex hasn't given you a new W-4. I was told not provided any more than I needed to get a form to just fill it out. I'll get you a W-4, Terry. I'll address that. That's my fault. Alex is just doing his job. Just love on him. Okay, any more questions? Excellent. Payment processor. I don't like Stripe, but they do it. PayPal, Stripe. There's a few I'm going to be trying my hands with. By the way, we're getting foundations established with Old Glory Bank, Wells Fargo. So if you want bank accounts. But I'm going to try Old Glory Bank for a merchant account very soon. So I'll let you know on that. Deception is immense. If we're going to apply for Social Security, do we receive it in the foundation? Sunny does ask for the application that we use for application for SS. And then, yes, you make a direct deposit into the foundation. That's what I would recommend. All right, guys, listen, it's almost 6 o'clock at night over here. It's time for me to get my groove on and start working on media. Man, I love you. I think what we're shooting out is good content for people. I know it's not for the best looking guy in the world. Sometimes I don't meet the hearts that I need to meet, but it's okay. Let's understand this ministry is doing something no other business, ministry, or person's doing. And we are at the forefront of engaging on a massive level. So if you're new to this, get the book for free and start sending the link for the book to your friends to download the book. It solidifies what your opinion is, number one, about what we have here in this nation to this day. And it takes away the ideologies. I think law enforcement really needs the copy of my book. And I think it's going to be a very important thing that people start reading and understanding that these are still laws that apply today. But when people watch a video like this and where I just explain the deed of old school versus the deed of today and what these terms mean, or citizenship of the old school and citizenship of today, they're different. Or title to a car of the old school and title to the car. What I just did is very real, very authentic, and it's super important for us to get our minds wrapped around. What I just did is the most important thing for our nation to grab onto. If you want to have ownership and you want to change and you want to fail the banks on a mass level, this is the way to do it. You unglue yourself as the surety. You unglue your home as being theirs. Get it? You take the assets away from them one at a time. You buy gold instead of keeping it in a retirement account that they're going to be ripping off soon, that is depleting its value daily because the dollar is not doing well. Watching oil prices go up on over a war that has been planned for 30 years. Guys, we watching Trump make this move with Iran, God bless Iran. I know they need help. I know that regime sucks. I know the people there need help. But watching this and how it's playing out and why we can't just go and unroot these guys in seconds instead of seizing the Suez Canal and starting this thing that, oil production to get oil to the market takes like 2 years. So the fact that they would increase prices of oil of something that happened last week is a joke to me. It's obvious. It's BS. Everything that this administration is doing is, from the most part, BS because they are not handling the elephants that are obvious in the room. Let me know when you hear of an administration scolding the FBI regarding state citizenship. Why aren't you promoting this? Why are you going to law enforcement with these terms like sovereign citizen and placating them and teaching them a bunch of lies? Why are you doing that? Why are you not teaching what a county recorder should show or should have a deed like before they even accept the deed from a citizen of the United States of America? If they cared about the people, they would teach the people the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution in school. They would teach the people what a deed looked like in school. They would teach the people how to have a child outside of granting the ownership rights of the child to the state. They would teach the people what true education looks like in private homeschooling. They would teach them this. If there was true leadership in this nation called the President of the United States Corp, they would do all these things now instead of walking people into the next energy lockdown. That's why they don't have my vote. This is why I want to make as many people in Republic personally so that we can come together and we can figure out our Republic that we want to reign over us. God bless you guys. Have a great week. I'll see you next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, new time. And Terry, we will talk tomorrow. I promise you that. Tell me a couple good times. Text me. You have my text. I know you do. Text me and we will talk tomorrow on getting your question answered. I know you've been a little frustrated. We'll make it happen. God bless.